Hello, everybody. Um, Hope everyone can hear me okay. Kind of having some issues with the audio right now. I think there's some static. So if anyone hears static, just tell me, and I'll do my best to fix that problem. So basically, I'm just gonna probably wait a little bit for a few more people to come in. What's going on, Ant? How you doing, man? Yeah, tonight's going to be a little bit different because, usually I talk about native things going on in the world. But I think that this particular issue, in regards to China and Taiwan, does deserve some attention, some serious attention that I think is going to have prolonged effects on not just native people, but everyone. But Ant, can you hear any static? If you can, just let me know. And if not, that's great. That's just on my end. Yeah, but for those that are just one second. For those that are coming in, welcome. Thank you. This live, and I usually say that these lives won't last very long. Sometimes they last somewhat long, but things happen. No, you don't hear any static. Okay, perfect. So it's just on my end, which means it's probably my headphones. But as long as you can hear my voice, fine. Then we won't have any problems. But yeah, for those of you again that are coming in, we're going to talk about a different issue tonight. It's a pretty serious issue, I'd say. But again, I think we'll just hold off in just like a minute or two and wait for some others to come on in. Thanks, Ann. Appreciate that. What's going on, Jesse? Hope y'all are doing okay in your parts of the country. Yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and start now. Yeah, just let more people come in as time goes by. So essentially, what I've been observing for the past like 8 years is just the movements going on in China and the ongoing issues in regards to them, China and the West, specifically the United States. And how do these issues kind of affect us, and how will they affect us in the long run? More so, and I think one good example to kind of understand what I'm talking about is the issue with Russia and Ukraine. Now, obviously, the U.S. isn't, well, the U.S. is somewhat militarily involved in regards to weapon support, but we don't really have any military, there's no army or navy on the ground, boots on the ground there. So, but as you can see, the issues that have happened are, the bans on certain imports, trade embargoes, and all that other nature that comes with it. And obviously, it has an effect on the world. The prices of food go up, and if we look at, what does Russia produce? A lot of, they produce a lot of oil, obviously, but they also produce a lot of food as well. They have the biggest country in the world. That's a lot of wheat that is grown, along with a lot of other, you know, food, uh, different types of produce and whatnot as well, um, because it's a good environment to grow many different types of food. So obviously, when we put all of these bans on their products, and then they do the same thing, Look what you see in the market. What do you see in Walmart? You see the prices of food. It's gone up, it's hiked. And, that obviously puts a toll on us here in the United States. And not only are we dealing with an issue in regards to housing, but now we have the food problem as well. And this is, in many markets around the country, if not a lot in the West as well, as this is an issue, an ongoing issue, mostly between the West and the United States. It's actually quite funny. Um, I saw an image earlier where it showed a meme about how the West saying that the world condemns this action. Or in reality, it just showed a picture of the West and Russia, not so much the rest of the world. It's kind of interesting how the rest of the world sees this problem in regards to Russia and Ukraine. Because if we look at India, they don't see it as much of a problem. They aren't, I mean, to my knowledge, they aren't putting these types of bans on Russia that the United States has, these sanctions. Yeah, anyway, I digress. So, what I wanted to talk about, and I think I will share a link. If people want to join, want to chime in, you're more than welcome to. You have knowledge of issues. This is kind of like a geopolitics night. So, yeah, you're more than happy to come on, but I'm probably going to screen you. So, what's going on in the world today? So, essentially, what's going on in China and Taiwan is, well, recently, Miss Pelosi here decided that it might be a good idea to visit Taiwan against the wishes of China. Now, obviously, there's, Taiwan declares itself as an independent island free of Chinese rule. But China still feels that Taiwan is, in fact, a part of the country of China. So, anyway, Nancy thought it would have been a good idea to come there. And to my understanding, I'm sure her and many other our leaders think that Taiwan should be independent. But if we look at the recent statistics and reports of Taiwan, most of the population believes that they should just keep the status quo. They don't want to be independent um, because they know that obviously China will start to create more issues, but they also don't want to be a part of China as well. So obviously, when this happened, many Chinese military drills took place around Taiwan. And in my opinion, I think that it's getting worse. Even though the Chinese had said that they had ended their drills, they're still there. Um, Actually, this is an image I think from maybe it's Sky News or some news channel. Let me give a better picture here. I added this red square here as well because a report that I read showed that there's actually seven military drills around Taiwan right now, not six, or regions, I should say. Um, so obviously, it's a lot more than what is being told. That and just recently in the news, China had said that they won't agree to keeping the promise of um, launch, landing soldiers on Taiwanese land, um, which I think at that point you kind of have to foresee that there's going to be a major issue in regards to probably an invasion and war that will happen. And it's sad to see. I mean, obviously, most people don't want to see war. Um, but unfortunately, that's what it's come down to. Now, again, like, how will this have an effect on us? How will it have an effect on Native people? Well, it's very simple. Um, Whether or not if the United States decides to get involved with the Chinese Taiwanese conflict, rather if that's through military um, means or even if it's just weapon support. Regardless, we will put sanctions on China. That will be evident. And then what will China do? They will do the exact same thing. They'll put sanctions on the US. And obviously, there's a lot of goods that come from China. Many of the supplies that we use from the store comes from China, comes from Walmart. If you go there, many other convenience stores. So once that happens, and I believe it will happen sometime soon, um, you will see the prices of everyday items that you use will go up immensely, very much like food right now. So I really wanted to just bring this to people's you know awareness because I do believe that it will happen sometime soon. Um, I can't obviously give an exact date because I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened before the upcoming election, maybe even sooner. And I'm not trying to obviously make this as some sort of like you know scare anyone, um, but this it's quite evident this problem will come within time. And of course, the politicians that will put on these sanctions, support these sanctions, and many people that aren't a part of the middle class won't suffer too much, but many of us will, unfortunately, um, and a lot of other problems as well will happen. And it's a sad state. It's not something that anyone wants to see. But again, you know, nothing can really be helped. I mean, if the United States decides to get themselves involved militarily, as in boots on the ground, then it'll get really bad. Um, and obviously, a lot more lives will be lost on the American side. So I'm not sure if anyone, wanted to bring their points up, what they thought of this current problem, because I do believe that it will evolve somewhat relatively soon, especially if you look at the current traction of this issue. If you want peace, prepare for war. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what the United States does. I mean, what don't they have like I think it's a $900 billion military budget, spending budget. That's huge. Um, it's funny. When I was younger, I kind of criticized the budget being that big, and I guess in some ways I still do. But when I saw Ukraine being invaded by Russia, my thoughts changed quite a lot. Um, because obviously, what would happen if this country does not spend um, that amount of money? I don't know what Ukraine's military budget is. Obviously, it's not as high as Russia's, but I think Russia's issue is a much more special case, obviously, because there's a lot of conscripts that are involved in the Russian invading force of Ukraine. It's quite evident. Many of the people that were taken as prisoner, the initial invading Russian soldiers, their appearance is nothing like the current Russian soldiers that are invading the eastern part of Ukraine. Maybe even they weren't conscripts. And to my understanding, I think it was about 200,000 people that had circled Ukraine at the time. And I don't know how many conscripts made up that invading force. But the point that I'm trying to get at is that the Chinese, whatever invading forces they decide to use, won't be made up of conscripts. Um, because I do believe that I spent some time in China and I've met a lot of people. And to the people that I've met, their belief is that Taiwan, is in fact a part of China. Um, and I think this is in the mindset of millions of Chinese that are there, or if not most of the population, which is about 1.4 something billion people. And it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't willing to fight for, um, you know, this invasion to take on Taiwan. Um, so obviously, you'd be dealing with people with a higher morale, confidence level of wanting to be there. So again, what I'm trying to say is the war would be much longer, most likely, and be very bloody and terrible. So, yeah, not sure if anyone else wanted to chime in, but again, I was going to make this video, somewhat short and just discuss the ongoing geopolitical problem that's happening right now. I think I have an article I can try to share really quick. Let me see if I can just share my screen. Okay, here it is. Just so I like to believe that people believe me, but just to prove my point is that this is in the Taipei Times. That is that the majority support status quo, poll shows. So the majority of respondents in a survey about Taiwan-China relations support maintaining the status quo. Just as I said, across the Taiwan Strait. Um, Again, this means just leaving things how they are, not wanting to be independent and not wanting to be a part of China either. In a poll, 1,072 people, 84.9% said they supported maintaining the status quo between Taiwan and China, while 6.8% said that Taiwan should declare independence, and 1.6 said they supported unification with China. So those are the stats. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. History can repeat itself. I mean, if we look at what Russia was saying before they started the invasion, I think they said that they were just practicing, and there wasn't going to be any provocations, no problems in regards to any invasion. And then what happens? They invade Ukraine. So I think that this problem is likely again, as I said, it's going to evolve, and they will probably invade Taiwan sometime soon. And it's unfortunate, but hey, Crane, it's okay. No problem. This was actually going to be a pretty short video. We were just talking about ongoing issues in China um, and problems that I think the majority of the population here in the U.S. will see. Um, and I'll make this somewhat quick to the new people who are on here. There's an ongoing conflict in Taiwan and China right now. Um, the lights are gone. Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about? Like daylight time? Then I would imagine it's probably dark. Um, But anyway, yeah, just talking about this current conflict that will probably lead to war with China and Taiwan in the upcoming future, and how that has an effect on not just Native people, but everyone. Obviously, people that everyday people that are in the middle class that work regular jobs that have to work hard to support their families. We'll start to see the prices of just everyday products that we use will go up. Prices will skyrocket. So I was just explaining how this will probably come in the foreseeable future. It's scary, obviously. No one wants to see it. Um, yeah, Ralph. Um, but it's a problem will arise. Um, that's a good question, Ant. But yeah, um, it's pretty much what I wanted to say. And again, this is pretty short live. It's like 20 minutes. But I just wanted to get that out there. At least I could provide some insight that, in my opinion, I don't believe that most media outlets talk about, which is what happens when the crisis on the other side of the world starts to unfold more. So we pretty much like what you see online or what you see when you watch the news is just like Taiwan. Taiwan is being invaded by China, or will be invaded, and like what we should do to help. They don't really talk about the ramifications, what will happen in the long run for us that are here that have such a huge commitment for the products that we buy from China. How many factories are there? Um, so obviously, it'll have a huge impact on the United States, more so the West as well. And I said specifically the United States in my title because I'm not too familiar. Well, I mean, I am somewhat familiar with relations with South America and China, Africa and China, and the rest of the world with China, but I didn't want to speak too much for them. Just wanted to focus on the U.S. since a lot of us are, are here. China knew that, yeah, now is a good time for them to move on to Taiwan. As far as the U.S. is concerned, with our support of Ukraine, we don't have the resources just enough to support multiple places. Well, I think the U.S. Does, in fact, have enough resources. And I say that because um, I don't believe that Nancy Pelosi came in good faith to Taiwan. That's just my opinion. Um, I think that there's an underlining reason as to why. Um, Rather, if that was to stir up problems because she knew it would trigger China. And that's what happened. Um, because war, as we all know, is always profitable to very advanced countries. But I won't go too far down that rabbit hole. China doesn't care anyway. They will do what they want. The territory close to them. Yeah, I mean, China. Every year they become stronger. Um, I don't want to say like the U.S. is to blame for that. I mean, obviously, like in the earlier decades, the Chinese and the U.S. worked out a lot together and had a lot of factories and companies move there to produce a lot of the things that we use here in the U.S. And the Chinese use that to their advantage. They managed to build up their military and many other aspects, other things in their country, and that's why we see a relatively advanced China today. I spent a little bit of time in China, but not too much. This war is based on the semiconductors Taiwan produces. Otherwise, if they weren't making those chips in China, it would make a huge fuss. Well, you can find all China's secondary motive. Yeah, that's true. I think that's another point I could have added was the fact that Taiwan is essentially the home of the of semiconductors. I was reading Ralph's comment. Um, yeah, the U.S. also did a lot of work with Taiwan to ensure that those chip companies, would be there. And now, China wants obviously Taiwan. I mean, they've wanted Taiwan since the start, but now it's becoming more real as China advances more. Like obviously, 50 years ago, um, this wouldn't be a problem. The U.S. Would be able to take care of this issue, but China's advanced more to a point where they're not the third world country. Um, they've modernized a lot. Um, but I do think the Chinese to believe in unifying. But yeah, I guess we'll see how things go in the future. Feel like someone's playing civil. Yeah, right. It definitely kind of feels like that, especially with Russia too. It's crazy how you know, both of these problems happened in the same year. Um, Now what? We got like 5 months left, 4 full months left. Yeah. Um, so we'll see how things go, but I think. you know, I have a lot of thoughts on the current president right now. Um, and if I were China and my plan was to take Taiwan, I would probably do it before the election comes. But that's if I was them, and if this was, part of my contingency plan. Now, maybe someone is somewhere out there. So yeah, um, again, relatively short live tonight. Someone wants to come on, then more than welcome to join the panel because probably next video won't talk too much about China. But short or long, it's always a good podcast. Hey, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you guys that watch and interact with my channel, you guys really mean a lot to me, and I just really wanted to bring this issue to light because, again, I feel like this will be bigger. This issue will evolve more in a very short period of time. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Um, thank you all for coming on, and wherever you are, have a good night, good morning, and yeah, talk to you guys later.